Welcome to another OU loss and also to another OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners Postgame Podcast powered by Jana King. Parker?
Oh, yeah. Jana King, folks. They are a proud partner of OU Athletics and, of course, the proud sponsor of the OU Insider Under the Visor Postgame Podcast. I'm sure they're not as proud right now as they would be if Oklahoma wasn't terrible at football at this particular juncture, but they are. They've scored 26 points in the last 3 weeks combined. But regardless, Jana King is the greatest team to ever clean. Their solutions range from stadiums to any size businesses across the country for elite commercial cleaning services. You're going to want to get in touch with the folks at Jana King, JANIKING.com. Jana King, again, is the greatest team to ever clean. Oklahoma is not the greatest team in any sense right now, fellas. 26-14 the final today as they drop another one, this time to Ole Miss in Oxford. First off, before we get into the game, I loved that environment. I loved that stadium. Initial impressions were not that great because Brian and I were wandering around the bowels of that stadium for what seemed like forever, trying to figure out how to get down to the field. Thankfully, we connected with someone from the Ole Miss side who has shot many a game at Vaught Hemingway Stadium, and he gave us the rundown on how you get down from the press box to the field level the fastest. If you didn't know any better, you would have no idea. Brian and I were completely lost for the longest time. So that was like knee-jerk reaction to Vaught Hemingway Stadium, knee-jerk reaction to the Ole Miss experience. Little iffy, but man, you want to talk about 100% crowd participation. Yeah. Everything they were doing in pregame, man, there was not a single fan in the building that was sitting down, that was not yelling at the top of their lungs. That student section is vicious. I mean, they bring the venom.
Yeah.
They bring the venom. That's an SEC student section. Yep. Love the stadium, love the setting. You know, it's not the biggest stadium, but it feels larger than it is in actuality. It holds, 64,000 people. Yep. Feels cavernous, though it's built down into the ground. Really, really fun place to watch a football game. And the powder out that they did today. Oh, they told everybody to wear powder blue. Yeah. High marks from me for the initial trip to Ole Miss. Really, really liked the experience there.
Their unis are awesome. I have video, and Parker can tell you this. I had it locked and loaded in a chamber. If OU was to somehow pull off the victory,
Brandon was going to dox some people.
I was doxing some dude. They were saying some things that I don't think you say to people. Not even in your private, not even if you're driving along with your windows up and nobody around you, you wouldn't even say those things to people or yourself. It was bad, wasn't it?
And if you're thinking it was just the 20-year-old hammered frat dudes, it was. Oh, no. There was a great deal of diversity in that student section. Diversity of all forms.
The girls.
There were a couple girls down there in the front that were the loudest, the most uncouth.
Yeah. I needed to cleanse myself after I walked away from there because I felt about as unholy as you possibly could feel. So it was not good. As far as the games go, the game went. First off, I want everybody to understand this, and I was just doing some research while you were doing.
Man, they were trolling so hard. I'm sorry, I have to bring this up. There was one of the athletic department creative folks in the same end zone as me towards the end of the game, which in the fourth quarter, I'm there in the north end zone, and so the student section is right there on my back. And of course, everybody that's a member of the OU creative team, everybody that's on creative at OU, whether Sooner Vision or elsewhere, they're all wearing their OU branded polos. Like, it's very clear what their affiliation is. And Jackson Arnold is just getting rocked over and over and over. And the student section, they're heckling the cameraman. Yeah. They're like, "You get that on film?" You get that on film?
They were going after the water girl in the pregame. The water girl.
No one is safe.
It was like in the
No
things
one
they
is
were
safe
saying
in
to her,
Oxford.
I was like, oh my God. And she was taking it in stride a little bit. And then I think one of the girls called Trace Ford sexy ass multiple times when we were standing there. I know you heard it. I know you heard it multiple times.
Trace Ford just kind of looked up and
He
winked.
looked up and he goes, did she just call me? Like literally, he looked at me square in the eye and he goes, did she just call me sexy ass? I just started laughing. So, anyways,
It's a wild time. They're all holding high noons and twisted teas too. It's
I sent it to my wife. What did she say? She needs to have another twisted tea or something like that. And she's like, oh, this is funny. All right. Yeah. On a not so funny notes. Does anybody want to guess Oklahoma's record since Texas last season? Don't count the Texas win. After Texas, what is their record up till now? Oh, you guys are going to be pissed. Oh, you fans are going to be pissed.
8-7, if I'm not mistaken.
Bingo. 8-7.
Ooh. And
from Oklahoma standard that there is.
Yeah, that's really bad.
And I know I'm yelling, but dude, what the hell?
that volume knob just got cranked to 11 right there.
I wish I wouldn't have looked it up.
And you remember after that win over Texas, they're walking off the field and Dylan Gabriel is the toast of college football and Brent Venables is on top of the world, as he dang well should have been. And at that point, Oklahoma's 6-0, and you're thinking, all right, it's year 2. This program has arrived. Brent Venables has arrived. This is a college football playoff contender. This is the team that's going to win a Big 12 title. They could finish the regular season undefeated. They could make a statement here in 2023. And then, of course, what happens? They go and choke back-to-back games to Kansas and Oklahoma State, wind up out of the Big 12 title game entirely, end up playing in the Alamo Bowl. And now, of course, we're all well acquainted with what 2024 has brought, Brandon, because we've had to talk about it. We've had to sit here and talk about it every single week. Thankfully, not here in the pallid light of a Holiday Inn Express in Memphis, Tennessee. But we have had to sit here in front of these microphones every single Saturday throughout a season. And at no point has this season been fun. Even when Oklahoma has won, it's okay. The Auburn win was kind of climactic. The Auburn win was cool, especially the way that they went and took it in the fourth quarter. You felt good about that win.
And the moment between Hawkins and his family was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. That was...
With that exception, every single one of these post-game podcasts this year has just been miserable, guys.
So bad.
I guess it wasn't miserable yet when Temple came to town. It was mundane. But then starting with the Houston game, certainly, it's just been one slap in the face after another every single Saturday.
I don't understand. I mean, and I'm tired. I'm tired of the, we got to get better. We got to do this. Yeah. That is true. Yeah. But tell us something we don't know. I'm tired of coach speak. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. Like, and it would be one thing if it was the offense. Like everybody, I think, would have some sort of understanding if the offense was what cost Oklahoma quite a bit today. The offense was much, much better. Look, I said this in the instant reaction or rapid reaction, and I'll say it now. Like, look, the fourth down play, that was bad by Joe John. But outside of that, if he had any sort of serviceable offensive line, they're putting some points up on Ole Miss today with what he was calling. He was in his bag for a while, man. And you could tell the rhythm, the just the flow of the offense was good. Even when it was bad, it felt good, like as far as flow. But the offensive line is just, I mean, it's dog shit. I'm sorry, excuse my language. It is. Yeah. It's the worst I've ever seen. And the bad part about it is if Jake Sexton's injury is as bad as we all fear, then it's not. He was playing really well today up to that point. Like he was playing well. And then because they weren't moving him. Weird how that works when you play one position the whole time. He was playing well. He gets hurt. Jackson Arnold's reaction says it all. When he saw how bad it was, his reaction said everything. He talked about it in the post game because what Jake means to him, he said it's the leader of the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
When he's out there, he's making the calls. He is helping putting the young guys in the right position. He has the voice. Everybody respects Jake Sexton.
Mm-hmm.
And you just might have lost that. You hope that he's not. You hope that he's just out from Maine and able to come back from Missouri and play on. But if it's, I know
that looked like a kid and I'm just speculating here. I know nothing. We know how tough Jacob Sexton is.
Tough dude.
The way that he reacted when he went down the second time around, that looked like a kid that knew his season was over. I hope that's not the case, but he was pissed off.
Yeah.
He was pissed off. And if he could have kept playing, he would have. He could barely stand.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was a clear change as soon as he left the game, and it was Logan Howland's time from there on out. It's bad, man. Like
time.
That guy, it's going to take him a long, long time to get back in the good graces of this fan base.
Yeah.
Because he was awful today.
How many sacks were on him? Just out of curiosity. Anybody know?
At least 5.
Yeah, I don't know, but his second play of the game was a sack, and
the third.
I believe
it was the third. It was back-to-back plays.
Yes,
and everybody wants to look. Everybody's like, "Oh, that was on Fabici, Waywu," and I tweeted out that was on Howland, and then I rewatched it, and I thought it was on Waywu, and then I rewatched it a third time, and no, Waywu had no way to go get to the guy he was pulling towards, because Howland was pushed about 5 yards back to where there was no lane for him to pull.
And look, Logan Howland should not be having to play right now. He's playing out of necessity. So I'm not burying that guy because of his performance today. He's not somebody that, he is what he is, send him to the portal at year's end. He's never going to crack it at Oklahoma. I think he's going to turn out to be a good player. But he's a redshirt freshman right now. He's still very, very new to the offensive tackle position. He played tight end and defensive end until his senior year of high school. And so you probably don't want a guy like that to be matched up with the likes of Princely Umamialen, who is a potential first-round NFL draft pick, unless that absolutely has to be the case. And it kind of did today, because the only viable alternative was to slide Michael Tarquin over to left tackle and roll with the Spencer Brown experience at right tackle, which
they brought Isaiah Autry with them, and they brought, who else did they bring with them that plays tackle?
I think that's it.
Does Daniel? Nope.
Akankumi
he
plays
plays
guard.
No.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Well,
I think it was either keep rolling with Howland or throw Isaiah Autry to the Wolves.
I'm here to tell you, next week against Maine, people are going to see a lot of Isaiah Autry, because everything we hear about him is that he is doing really well against R. Mason Thomas and stuff on the scout team and all that. But that doesn't mean it's gonna portray itself out there on the field when the lights are on and there's 75,000, 86,000 fans in the stands. It's a whole different ball game when that happens. And that's what people need to understand when we hear those things, that these kids are doing really well in practice. And it's not just coming from one person. It's coming from a multitude of people. But the problem is that doesn't mean it translates when it's showtime.
Yeah. And
that's the issue Oklahoma's running into. And it's just, I've never seen it like this. Like, guys, 8-7 in the last 15 games. Fans are literally calling for BV's head now. Like, it went from, it was on the offensive coordinator. Now the offensive coordinator got fixed. The offense looked somewhat respectable outside of the offensive line, and they still lost. And now fans are coming after BV. How do you all feel about that? Like, I'm interested in y'all's take on that right now.
Yeah, it's a tough spot, because I mean,
Do we want to
The-
know what his record is at Oklahoma?
it-
Does anybody want to look that up?
it's no, I know it's not. It can be. Here's the thing. I think the thing that sucks about this is Brent Venables is a guy that understands what the standard is. He has repeatedly talked about the standard and upholding that and practicing to that and living up to that. And like, unfortunately, since he's been here, the standard has been sub what it is like at Oklahoma. Like his standard, the standard that we have seen under Brent Venables to this point has not been what Oklahoma fans
20 and 14.
what Oklahoma fans have been used to. Yeah, 20 and 14 isn't cut. Like that just doesn't cut it.
It's the Oklahoma standard.
Yeah. So it's tough. And look, no, the hand that he was dealt is what it is. But guys, we're halfway through year 3 at this point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And here is what continues to have him lose more and more trust or more and more support from the fan base is the same game management issues
God, that timeout. I mean,
continue.
What
It's
was that?
those
There
are
we go.
These are the same things, right?
I went
Like,
off on Twitter on that.
yeah. Well, I mean, but again, why? Why are you calling a timeout when you appear to be going for it and then you decide to punt?
Take
It's
5.
a way. Yes,
Mhm.
Two score game, 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
it is.
Waste of timeout, and it changed how you have to call a game. That puts your offensive coordinator in an awful predicament.
Yeah.
Just an awful predicament. Like that one timeout is such a game when you add the 2-minute timeout and on top of it, like you've essentially got 4 in the fourth quarter if you want to use them. You've wasted it.
Right.
That
Like,
timeout only makes sense if you're going for it.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep. You want to make sure you're getting the call right. You want to make sure everybody's on the same page. Sure, do it. But when you send the punt team out there afterwards, it just doesn't make any sense. I about I've about lost it there. Something else is, and Jesse kind of proposed this question on the way to the stadium, and I want to. This kind of wraps right into what you're asking about Brent Venables. The importance of red shirts. Okay. The guys that we have seen play on the offensive line over the last couple of weeks, it's not working, right? I mean, it's pretty clear that it's
19 sacks in 2 games. Yes, it is certainly
it's
not working.
not working. Okay.
You tied a school record for sacks allowed last week. You broke that record this week. Congratulations.
Did they add it again?
Yes,
Sacks.
it's at 10. So today was it was at yep.
Gosh.
Yep. 9, 10, 9, and then 10. So I guess what I'm getting at here is, okay, you play Isaiah Autry Dent against Maine next week. Okay, let's just say that. That's how you throw out there at tackle. You play you play Eddie Pierre-Louis out there at guard. Okay. What are you learning from that game? What are you honestly learning about those guys from that game?
Against Maine.
Maine.
You're learning
You're
very
not
little.
learning much. The only thing you're getting out of that is, and I know people may scoff at this, but you're getting game in front of the crowd, atmosphere, and building confidence. I think that's probably because I was talking to somebody, and I'm not going to say who, but just for obvious reasons, but I asked about the confidence thing. Like
Yeah.
I asked them straight up, was like, is there something to like kicker, like confidence on the offense? And they were like, yes. It like having no confidence as an offensive line, as a collective unit, is like a death sentence for your offense completely. And you're seeing it unfold right in front of y'all's eyes. The positions that they were put in and not put in and then put back in and then move to a different spot and doing all that, and the charade of games that they've played. And granted, I'll give them the fact that some of their best players on the offensive line were hurt all through spring, all through fall, and they were unable to build up a rapport with one another. And you see that coincided them getting hurt again during the season. I will grant them that excuse. The rest of it has to do with the musical chairs,
Mm-hmm.
has to do with the positions they're being put in with the scheme. And a lot of that was fixed, and you saw it get fixed because of the way they played in the first half.
Right.
They played really, really well in the first. Holes were being opened up in the run game. You're putting the defense on their heels instead of the offense being on its heels and the defense being able to pin its ears back all the time. You flip the script to the second half.
It was the same problem.
Same
Yeah.
that you saw but that wasn't on Joe John, because some of those calls, there were dudes wide open. There were dudes there. I mean, and granted that was with Seth Luttrell as well. And all it's a multitude of things.
Yeah.
But confidence,
Yeah.
that is killer. So I don't give a crap about red shirts anymore because kids are getting paid to play.
Right.
They're
And
getting paid to play.
That's where I was headed with that. Is it's not working.
Kels Gundy said the same thing earlier this week on a podcast.
Yeah, it's not working. So you have guys. I understand that they're young. I understand throwing a freshman offensive lineman out there is the last thing that Beebe wants to do. But you are you're doing two things. One, you're hurting yourself, your future, by not prepping those guys at this point. No, the season's not a throwaway right now, but we're approaching that point very quickly. And two, you're putting the health of your quarterback at risk at this point. Guys, he's going to have to be mobile, yes, but taking 19 sacks, why in the world would a guy like Jackson Arnold want to come back and sign up for something like that if you're not going to take care of him? And I don't know what his decision is going to be at the end of the year, but you are hurting yourself in the long run by not putting these guys out there in situations. And you don't face an elite defense the rest of the way. So this is the time now. This is the time. You have to do it. And if you don't, that's where I really start to question some of the management things going on under BV. And I don't want to see him go. I truly believe that he has what it takes to be the head coach at Oklahoma and to be the guy that gets this program back to the top. It's just going to take some changes from how he's doing it right now. I think he has the fire. I think he has the attention to detail and all of that, but he's going to need the right group around him. And quite frankly, right now he doesn't have it.
I was waiting on you to say something, Parker, but I'll go ahead.
I'm kind of at a loss right now, guys.
Yeah, there's too many yes men around here. That's what there is in that office, is a bunch of yes men. Nobody will stand up to him. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I'm trying not to think big picture at this point, because there'll be a time and a place to discuss the big picture. And the harsh reality right now, guys, is Oklahoma's probably not making a bowl game. They're going to have to go steal one in Columbia if they want to have a chance, because right now I don't give them much of a chance against Alabama. I don't give them much of a chance against LSU. You're going to have to play darn near perfect football to win those games. You can beat Missouri, and obviously you should beat Maine. That's your path to bowl eligibility. And right now, that feels like a stretch for Oklahoma. Like, that feels like a lofty goal that may or may not be attainable with where this football program's at. So I'm trying not to, and there's going to be so much runway for big picture conversations. I'm just thinking back to this game today, and we discussed in the rapid reaction, a tale of two halves, because in the first half of this football game, Oklahoma showed some legit signs of life.
Should have had 21.
Javonte Barnes was running with some desire. The offensive line was opening holes for him. Jackson Arnold was operating like a confident customer from the pocket, making throws, scramble. They did a terrible job containing him in the first half, and he made him pay. Whenever he got the opportunity to scramble, he'd go pick up 8-10 yards with his legs. And I thought Joe John Finley, and this is not exclusive to the first half, I thought Joe John Finley called an excellent football game.
Agree.
Yep.
In his very first action as the Sooners play caller, I thought he called an excellent football game that ought to have been good enough to put that program in position to win today. Ultimately, the reason that they weren't in position to win at the end was because the offensive line didn't hold up. And there's nothing the play caller can do about that. Right? That's the one thing that you can't really scheme around. You can't really scheme around deficiencies on the offensive line. You have to block well. That's a prerequisite for anything that you want to do offensively. I was very impressed with Joe John Finley. I was very impressed with how simple he kept it.
Yes.
They figured out what worked early on. They stuck with it. They went up tempo at times, reminiscent of the Jeff Lebby days. Joe John even pulled out a couple Riley throwbacks, if you noticed. And I made note of it on Twitter, but a couple times they ran a direct snap, fake toss, the exact same play that they ran at the very end of the 2021 Red River rivalry that sprung Kennedy Brooks for that game-winning touchdown, where he takes the direct snap, he fakes a toss to the quarterback, and then takes off the other direction with the football. That's a play design that I have not seen since that day from Oklahoma. And so that was Joe John kind of flexing the breadth of his influences as a play caller and going a little retro with some of the designs. I liked that. But all in all, guys, it's unfortunate that everything that we said coming into this football game ended up holding up, which was it does not matter who's playing quarterback. It does not matter who's calling the plays. It does not matter how well both of those guys are performing in their respective roles. If this offensive line can't block anybody, you're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Jackson Arnold played a heck of a football game. Joe John Finley called a heck of a football game, and it was all undone by shoddy offensive line play.
Yep. Yeah, and as I kind of look through some of these stats on the offense, one of the things that really sticks out, and we've talked about how bad Oklahoma's been on first down through the first several games. First down rushing attempts today, Oklahoma 21 for 94 yards. They averaged 4.5 yards a carry on first down.
That'll do.
You're putting yourself ahead of the chains.
That's
obviously.
winning football, right?
Yes. Unfortunately, the back end of the game, particularly the last few drives, you had a loss of 1 on first down. You had a loss of 4 on second down on rushes. You had sacks that lost you 6 yards, 6 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards, 3 yards, 9 yards. You just you can't
tell the net yards of Jackson Arnold rushing.
Yeah. So
what was the total?
So Oklahoma as a whole, Oklahoma had 207 rushing yards and averaged 5 yards a carry after sack adjustments. So if you take
103 with
yes
64,
yes
he netted only 39 yards. He netted only 39 yards after running for 103. That's how much the sacks cost him today.
Correct. And you also had 79 yards lost rushing on from the other guys as well. So it was ridiculous. 139 total. 139 total because you had 17 tackles for loss. Yeah. 17 tackles for loss, 10 sacks equal to 139 negative yards.
I mean, half that came from freaking Bauer Sharp's stupid running backwards on it.
But man, and Bauer Sharp was having some nice moments in the first half too.
Decided not to catch the ball and make.
I was like,
the
all
smartest
right.
play he made in the second half was not throwing it on the screen pass.
Yeah, which
double pass.
Yeah,
man, I was like, all right, Bauer.
Yards, which I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah,
Bauer. I was sitting there, he catches the touchdown pass, throws a couple nice blocks, makes a couple nice catches that move the chains, and you think, all right, he heard the noise.
Mm-hmm.
He came ready to ride. And man, second half, it cratered for him. It cratered for everybody.
This Ole Miss defense is a really good unit.
They're good.
I believe they're top 1 or 2 in several statistical categories. Good, yeah. Oklahoma had 10 big plays today, 10 explosive plays for 158 yards.
When you say explosive plays, what's the minimum yardage? Is that 10? 10 yards?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you had 10 for 158 for Oklahoma. Ole Miss had 9 for 234. So they outgain you on your big plays, but
half of that was on Kenai Walker and Des Malone.
correct. Yeah.
If we're being honest.
Yes, it
Send
is.
Kenai Walker to the Sun Belt, please.
Or into this. Never mind. Fire.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
It is.
Ryan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's man, I'm telling you, it has gotten to the point where like I mean I refuse to be that guy most of the time. But anybody that runs a vertical against that guy,
He's
if
getting
you,
cooked.
If you don't have safety help over the top,
He's getting cooked.
I-
He's bad.
To be fair, I asked Zach Alley straight up. I was like one of the first questions. I said, "Are you happy with cornerback play last 2 or 3 games?" He looked stunned like that. I just was.
Are you actually asking
Well,
me this?
and he's like, well, they get put on an island. Some of that he started like trying to like put it on, some of the defensive line and not getting pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And then he retracted it real quick when he got to thinking about it. And I was like, brother. He goes, but the defensive line issue, sometimes that goes on them not covering. I'm like, so 2 out of the 3 times it's on them not doing their job, not covering the way they're supposed to cover. And so my next question was, do you think Jacoby Johnson can play a little more than he has, or do y'all plan on using him a little more? Oh, he's doing great. He's just young, blah, blah. I said, well, are y'all going to play him both sides of the ball? Or are you going to play him on defense? Like, you're going to pick a side? And he goes, he's been practicing on both sides of the ball. And I'm like,
Pick one.
pick
Please.
one. The dude is 6'3" and he's the fastest corner you have.
He's in purgatory right now
4'4".
while the opposition runs seam routes till the cows come home on Kenai Walker and Des Malone.
Maybe he's
And
tired from all of
I've-
the routes he's running on offense. Oh, wait, never mind. Never mind. Sorry.
I don't
What
think
the
we
fuck,
saw the
bro?
receiver today.
We did not. That's the problem. Therein lies my
And look,
frustration.
Des Malone has also not been impressive. I've only been exposed to 8 games of Des Malone, so maybe that's why I'm less hard on him than I am on Kenai Walker.
Yeah.
But we're on year 3 of this experiment. He's not a good football player. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's tall. And that's about
He-
it. He can play zone.
He's
good at
he's
zone.
great. He's great in the red zone whenever he doesn't have
To
more than
cover.
20. Yeah.
Yeah, 20 yards of coverage.
That is not a cornerback that should be starting and playing as many snaps as he is playing every Saturday at the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Facts. It just there's so much to be frustrated. Hey, positives. Positive. Jacob Jordan is a dude. Can we all agree?
We can.
Yes.
That guy's a dude. And figuratively and literally a dude. And
He was one of 2 receivers that caught a pass today for OU.
yeah.
JJ Hester
yeah.
got him 1
There was only
with
one.
like 3 drops
Yes.
interspersed.
He is the only JJ Hester was the only wide receiver on scholarship to record a catch today.
Wow.
What? And this is a legit question because I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask. Somebody's gonna have to ask Brent Venables. If not me, somebody's gonna have to ask him on Tuesday at the press conference. Where is Jaquez Petaway? He did not touch the field today.
Do you want the truth or do we want to sugarcoat this?
The truth.
The truth is, how many passes over the middle have you all seen Petaway catch this year?
How many passes have we seen him catch? Period. This
The
year?
only ones
fair.
I
He
can
had 3
remember are
catches
the ones
against
against Tennessee.
Yeah, he looked good against Tennessee.
Yeah,
He did not play a
he's
single
not
snap today.
consistent going across the middle.
I don't
That,
care.
that's been talked
Like-
about for like 2 years now with him.
Yeah, but okay, like if you don't want to run across the middle, that's fine. Just get somebody on that field that can create separation.
The
Brand.
fact that Bauer Sharp is the only mismatch problem that you have right now because he's an athletic tight end, that's a problem. You can't utilize a guy like Brennan Thompson because your quarterback's going to get his head ripped off if he's back there for longer than 2 seconds. And the only thing that you're able to hit is a 6-yard hitch to your tight end or a swing route to your running backs. Like that's a problem. So I'm with you. Like if he's not great over the middle, fine. But I mean, let him run something. I just
No, I'm
it's
with
so
you. I'm
it's
just telling you,
yeah.
the deal. Now, and he may be banged up. I don't know, but that's kind of what I've been. Yeah,
Your most impressive receiver today was a running back.
yeah.
Your most
Javonte was
impressive
awesome.
player today was
Yep.
that running back.
Javonte
Yeah, he was
Barnes.
good.
He had a great game.
And it was so good to see it come together for him because all throughout the season, man, he has just continued to play hard. He's
Yes.
continued to challenge his teammates. He's led well. Like he's been a model citizen and he's played some solid, albeit unspectacular football. He looked awesome today. I thought all things considered, circumstantially, might have been the game of his OU career.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely there were a couple of plays where, because I think one of the bigger knocks on him from the fan base at least has been he tends to bury his head and run forward. Well, there were a couple times he met a guy miss in the hole today. One particularly on a spin. He made a spin on a 3rd and 2, had to have it, and ends up getting out of there with that. And then he had 57 yards receiving, and another 67 on the ground. So he goes over 100. He was productive, and you just haven't had that. And I think maybe I can't believe I'm saying this through 8 games, but maybe you have something that you can start to put an identity together with on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe you lean on him a little bit more. I don't know.
Maybe I mean he's the guy you have to lean on at this point with Gavin Sawchuk banged up, and Taylor Tatum just continues to be the perfect microcosm of this football.
Oh yeah,
because he cannot get out of his own way, man. And he's so gifted, and you see it, and it's there, and it's exciting, and then he screws something up, whether it's a block or whether it's ball security, like against Texas or again today.
Yeah, it's been
like
Tennessee, fumble versus Tennessee. Like this has been a thing with him.
It is the biggest of booms or the biggest of busts with Taylor Tatum when he's on the field.
And it's easy to forget that he was a summer enrollee too. It's like that's a guy. I mean, he hasn't been on campus all that long, and you kind of hope maybe there's that hope that he figures it out going into next season. But I mean, it is.
He'll figure it out. It is off season. I don't worry about it.
It is. With the way that you said it, him being a microcosm of this team. There's talent everywhere, and they just can't get out of their own way like that. That's a perfect summation of what we've seen.
The schemes, the blocking, the running that they're doing is exactly what Gavin Sawchuk went off with the scheme, the gaps, and all everything that they're doing last year.
Yep.
This is exactly what they're doing. And it's unfortunate that he's hurt because with you needed more than just Devontae Barnes. And Sam Franklin's he's not going to do it. And Taylor Tatum, like you said, he's flashy, but you can't trust that it's not going to screw you over at some point.
Yeah.
You needed him to be healthy today to actually see if going back to what they did last year to make him be successful was going to work. Now, hopefully he can do it. I was told by somebody close to him that earliest is Maine week. Now, being that it's Maine, you would think that they're probably going to want to hold him out if it's any because you're going to want him from Missouri.
Yeah, there's no reason to rush somebody back against Maine.
Right. So you're probably going to get him back from Missouri, would be my bet. But Javonte Barnes is going to need help. So either Taylor Tatum needs to learn to hold on to the ball and pass block, or you only have 2 options. He's got to be able to do those 2 things, or Gavin Sawchuk has got to be the Gavin Sawchuk of 2023 with this scheme again, or you're back to just one running back.
Yeah.
You can't win ball games with just one dude toting the rock and being in the pass game and doing all that because they'll wear down. Like as the game goes on, they will physically wear down. So you need somebody to be able to lean on in those times, and you got to find somebody that you can trust. Because
clearly
Taylor Tatum needs to figure it out, or Gavin Sawchuk needs to be Gavin Sawchuk of 2023.
Yeah,
those are your options.
Something has to have happened with Caleb Hicks to keep him off the field, obviously, because I mean we saw him 2 rushes last week.
Did he get in a shouting match with DeMarco?
Something I don't know, like something had to have happened because I mean we're talking about a guy that during spring I remember saying it on multiple occasions that he was. This thing is so close to going off the rails. There were multiple times during spring whenever I felt that he was the best running back that they had, or the looked like the best guy at that point. And maybe he just can't. I don't know. Maybe he just can't figure the playbook out. I don't know what the problem is.
There's. I'm not going there. Moving on from that situation, that is not cool, Parker. He's gonna keep it. He does this. Like he'll just throw like a bomb and just keep it straight face. Did he do this?
What? It was a Tommy Walker joke. We all know.
But is it? Like, there's more. Like, so. Anyways. All right. The back end of the defense. And not even the back end, the second level of defense. What in the heck, man? Like, you have Kip Lewis, you have Danny Stutsman, and they look like they couldn't find a tight end today. What was the deal? Like, I'm trying to figure out. I think that the touchdown looked like it was on Kip Lewis. I will say that. Because, and there was twice. One, the tight end dropped.
Yes.
Did y'all see Danny Stutsman just reaming Kip walking up? Like, Kip was like doing all this stuff and like yelling and screaming like they stopped him on 3 and out. Stutsman walks over there and was like getting in his grill like, dude, you didn't do anything. You got lucky, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like he dropped the pass. Then lo and behold, they score the final one. Kip looks like he's like exhausted and he's tired on that drive. And Stutsman doesn't give a crap, man. Did you all see him? He's like barking at Kip like, you screwed this up again. You were supposed to be blah, blah, blah. Like, as far as coverage and where he was supposed to sit, he was supposed to be sitting exactly where that pass was thrown.
Yeah, I don't know what the issue was with that because that was
BB says eyes in the backfield, not
yeah.
doing the job.
We saw, and you know there were a couple of times today where even Stutsman himself, he got caught looking in the backfield. And so I don't know if it was something, maybe something that they keyed on in practice, and then Ole Miss having a bye week, maybe they made some adjustments to how they were doing things. I have no idea how that actually ended up playing out, but it was obvious that something in the backfield was keeping those linebackers occupied and allowed the tight ends to move, because the tight ends really, I mean, I don't know what the stats look like for Ole Miss as far as the tight ends. They were really the ones that kept things moving when they needed the ball to be moved. They were the guys that were moving the ball down the field. Jackson Dart found them time and time again in have to have it situations. So
there it is. 71 yards for is it Prescorn?
Yep.
And Daquan Wright had 54 yards. Obviously, Prescorn had a touchdown. Hey, speaking of Danny Stutsman, real quick, gonna give it up to him. Amidst all of the bad, he said something in post game that I think OU fans should hear.
Okay.
And he was asked, knowing what you know now, would you come back? Like, do you regret coming back?
Ooh, that's a
with
good
everything?
question. It's a bold question.
It's a bold, yeah. And he literally was just like on top of that so quickly. He said, absolutely not. He goes, I know if I knew we were going to lose 4 games and I knew the season was going like this, I would come back again because I love the university. I love the fan base. I love my teammates. I love my coaches. And this is where I wanted to be, is with this group of people and this group of fan base at this time. I have to give it up to him because that, like, knowing the millions of dollars that he just kind of threw away and understanding that everything to him, this was bigger than that.
He didn't throw it away. He just postponed
it. Yeah. But I mean, like, that's a year of making millions of dollars that he could be making, right? I know he's not poor right now. He's making probably close to that. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's cool. That was cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool answer. And he meant it. Like, you could tell he meant it. Because I followed it up with, this feels like 2022. How can you keep the team from falling into that trap of just letting the season go off the rails like it did in 22? And he answered that really like boldly and said, it's on me. I've been there. I've done that. Bowman's done that before. Like, we can't let it happen. And he goes, I'm not talking just for the defense. I'm talking offense too. Like, it cannot happen. And we've got to be able to be leaders, step up, and make sure they know that this is not Oklahoma, and you can't have that happen 2 out of 3 years. I respect for Stutsman for those because those are tough questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of piggybacking off of that. And I thought, you know, coach talk is coach talk. You're going to get that with everybody. But I did think that it was very interesting that Brent Venables was as adamant about guys not hanging things up at this point. Like how adamant he was that this team is not going to blink. And he said it multiple times.
I said it last week because I asked
Yes,
him about it too.
right.
Yeah, like,
and he was, you could tell that he was a bit emotional. Like, you know, there was a little bit of emotion behind it. He was having to rein things back in a little bit. But just reiterating, this team does not have that kind of players on it. And I just thought that was interesting how outspoken he was about that when he was asked. So there's 4 games left in the season. The season's not over by any means. You're 2/3 of the way through it.
It's going by so fast.
It has. The issue is, what do you deem a success from here on out? Like, because that's how far the
get bowl eligible.
Yeah, that's it, right? It has to be.
Yeah. God, this is just
right.
Do you hear us? Do you hear us?
Yeah.
Success is 6-6. What the we talking about? Like, what are we talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I've grown up following and covering this program. I'm 41 now, and what?
Yeah.
That's like John Blake crap right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's John Blake.
It's close, man. He was 5-7 his final year, 5-6 his last year. 5-6. They're on pace to be 5-7, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear it. They were 6-7. That's John Blake crap.
Yep.
Is what that is. RIP, bro. I'm sorry, but that's BS, man. I hope fans don't think I'm being like
no,
negative,
you're.
but I'm just telling you it's BS.
It's facts.
That is not the standard. Like,
yeah.
And I don't even want to blame the players for this. Like, this goes back to coaching. This goes back to at what point did you let it get to this?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
I can answer where that started. I'm thankful for what Seth Luttrell did for this program, as far as what he did as a player,
family in general,
and he's a great dude.
He and his dad, by the way.
Parker said this. I believe he said this on Twitter. When Jeff Lebby left, he made it very adamant who he thought should be the play caller.
He did.
This is a great point.
Yeah, I almost said
made
it earlier,
it very apparent.
Didn't want to go there.
The choice, and it was a choice, to put Seth Luttrell in position to call the plays and nix whatever Lebby said on his way out the door, has put Oklahoma in the position it is now, because based on what we saw on the road against a top defense, the scheme, the flow, everything that we saw with the game today, if that's the offense that Oklahoma had been operating with to this point, I don't know how many games it wins them, but we are not in the hole that we that we see right now because you've had the same guy running things, the consistency running things through spring. You haven't had to go back and forth between schemes, players, quarterbacks. It's all symmetrical. And he talked about there being, what was the number one thing? What was his reason for not hiring from outside? Continuity. To me, the
way knew Levy's system better than that guy.
Exactly. That's my point. So the debacle of hiring, not hiring, choosing this guy as your offensive coordinator right now, love it or hate it, that decision is what has defined this year. And ultimately, to this point, that is what has defined Brent Venables' tenure as the head coach.
Is the O-line more confident if they would have went that route to begin with?
100%.
They sure looked more confident in the first half today.
Yeah.
When Jacob Sexton got hurt, things changed. But that was a different O-line than we've seen.
And you know what else we didn't see today? We didn't see anybody switch sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Not once.
Yep.
So to me, that's where things have gone off the rails. It's obvious now in hindsight, but going back, there was questions about it. Looking at it from this side of the fence now, things probably look a lot different.
Does that lessen the vitriol towards Bill Bedenbaugh from the fan base, knowing that
No, I don't think
the
so.
O-line was much better underneath this scheme until the
I don't
biggest
think
injury of the
so.
season as far as offensive line.
No, that O-line's just bad.
Yeah.
It's just a bad O-line.
I had to ask the question.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. You don't lose extra guys. You don't lose a Rame. You don't lose a Caden Green. You don't. I mean, there's guys leaving left and right over the last two cycles early, right? So I mean, it's
two you just named are the ones that were like a swift kick.
Yes, that hurts. Yeah, absolutely hurts. I mean, that changes everything. So it's a bad spot to be in, but that to this point is what really has defined it.
There was a lot of additional evidence unearthed today that would support the notion that Luttrell was just a really bad hire.
Yep.
And I don't know where we will stand on that a week from now or a month from now or a year from now, but knee-jerk reaction is that a lot of the offense's issues, certainly not all of them, but a lot of the offense's issues came down to who was calling the plays.
Yep.
Yeah. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I've known him for years. Good man, good friend. And he loves the University of Oklahoma more than almost anybody could imagine. So this hurt him to put the team in the situation they did. And it wasn't, he didn't mean to. He's running the system that he felt he knew best. He was originally asked to run Levy's system, which did not feel comfortable with. So they tried to merge both, and that was just square peg, round hole. And that's sometimes what happens. I mean, I think people need to understand, like, he's not a bad coach. It was just, like I tweet out, bad timing. Bad timing for a lot.
And it's BV's fault.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is. It's BV's fault for putting him in that situation. Instead of, if you want Jeff Lebby's offense ran, hand it to the guy on that's on staff that knows how to run it.
Yeah. Especially
don't ask somebody else to run it that is not comfortable doing that.
Well, and Lebby's message leaving was basically promote Joe John or I'm going to hire him at Mississippi State. And somehow, I don't know how, Venables and OU finagled their way into neither hiring Finley as the play caller nor losing him to Mississippi State. And it feels as though that purgatory, if
almost
you will,
$1 million a year will do that sometimes.
Mm-hmm. that purgatory, that non-decision, really put OU behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. So this goes back to my question: if they end up 5-7, is there a world that Joe C and the donors try to make a bigger move than just hiring a new OC and making him make a splash hire. Because here I'm going to tell you what somebody told me.
Okay.
They said he's hard to work for, and that's
This
well
being
known.
Venables, right?
Yes, and it's well known in the coaching world. And number two, and I heard that from multiple people, by the way. And number two, if the season ends up 6-6, 5-7, how are you going to get a top-notch OC to come in a season where if it doesn't go well and you don't win 8-9 games
On a tough schedule.
on a tough schedule the next year, he's probably gone.
Mhm.
And I hate saying that because there are a lot of friends of you and I, and particularly Parker, on that staff that we like that suck.
Well, and Venables is a guy that you'd like to watch.
And you want to see
Yes.
him.
You'd
You
like
want
to see him succeed.
successful because
Yeah.
he's a good man.
He is. He is. But the standard is the standard.
Yeah.
And you have to live up to it.
It's a business.
And
unfortunately.
it feels like we're saying this every week. It is a business. And if you're not winning football games, then the OU football machine is going to tear you to shreds, man.
Yep.
And
So, but y'all think
there's,
you do think that he makes it out?
I think he gets a year 4 regard. Like the only thing, and we've talked about this, the only thing to me, there are only 2 ways that he is not back
Lose
next
to
year.
Maine.
One being you lose to Maine. You lose to Maine, he's probably not the head coach the following weekend. But if you lose those last 3 games in thoroughly one-sided fashion, like you're just non-competitive,
Texas,
Texas, South Carolina
Yeah.
type losses,
That's what I was going to get at.
then
I
yep.
think that might be enough to push him out the door, which again, I don't want to talk about that. That sucks.
Yeah.
That would not be good.
Because at that point, that just suggests either the team has quit on you
Yeah.
or you're not getting enough out of them.
Right.
Flat out.
And at that point, you would be completely tone deaf. With what he was saying today, that would just prove that he was tone deaf. And at that point, yes. But you're talking about everything. Like, I mean, recruiting classes. I mean, there's so much on the line.
Yeah.
So I agree with Parker. I think it would take some pretty astronomical circumstances for him to leave. And I don't think just 5. I don't think the number 5 and 7 by itself is enough. It depends on how poorly those last 3 games look.
So if he's 5-7, he is now, what would that be? 21-17.
Yep.
Ugh,
The proud owner of the only 2 losing seasons in the 21st century for
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
And the first time to not go bowling since 98,
yeah, that would be.
which we've said a lot of since 98.
not
this
the
year.
type of history you want to be establishing in year 3.
No.
So with even with all the negatives and stuff, I will say this. I agree with you all. I still think they give him a 4th year, and rightfully so. I think
Yeah.
there's so much is on the line.
Yeah.
But Joe John Finley's throwing his name in the hat as like a fixture long term at Oklahoma as an OC
Absolutely.
after this week. Like, at least a name that you have to at least check off I did my due diligence.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far.
You don't think so?
No. I want to see how the rest of the season plays out. And
I get it, but I'm just saying based off this week.
Okay, yeah,
Like,
sure.
he's,
But
he's
my point is that's not a judgment you have to render. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not a judgment anybody has to render until the season is over. Like,
we would like it before. You would like this
Yeah,
decision made before the season's over, right?
yeah, early returns are good, but
If
early returns can be
Okay.
deceptive. Like,
Timeline. Where we at? Like, do we think by the end of November we know who the OC is? And I think you have to.
there
make
will
a
be
late
an
run.
OC hired. I would be willing to wager there is an OC hired within 48 hours of the conclusion of the final regular season game.
Yeah,
Or
because you have to give yourself some
Thanksgiving
leeway
week,
to go
yes.
to go maybe make a flip or two
Yep.
and get some names
Yep.
just off the higher level.
Mhm.
And when you have this much time, you're going to be able to execute things very quickly once the regular season
Right.
ends, as evidenced by, and I'll go back to it again, USC and Lincoln Riley. Right? It's been 18 hours since USC's regular season ended, and they got Riley locked in as their next head coach.
right.
And you're not hiring a new head coach; you're hiring an offensive coordinator.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
inarguably a little bit easier to facilitate.
Right.
Yeah.
But what you were saying about Levy or Levy, Joe John Finley's name being thrown into the hat for the offensive
Yeah.
coordinator position. If we see marked improvements, incremental like we did, like
Yeah.
this is a great starting point, right? For yes.
I wasn't saying like I'm just saying like he's in like as somebody that
If you
you're
could,
just gonna watch
yeah,
moving
if
forward,
you
much
can
like you're
sense-
gonna watch a
yes.
couple other guys.
I think, and especially with Brent Venables being in charge and continuity being such a big deal, I would imagine that that's something
I
that
don't know that the donors are gonna allow.
I don't either. But if the offense improves and you end up getting to 6 wins, it's at least something you have to talk about.
All right. This man right over here has busted his ass all weekend.
Yes, he
He's
has.
only got like 2.5 hours of sleep.
Powering through, baby.
So, and you can see it in his eyes and his face. He's exhausted. I've got to hit the road to head back to Oklahoma, to go watch a championship game of
Pick one MVP before
Yeah.
we get off the air.
So-
Everybody pick one MVP from today's game.
Javonte Barnes.
Mm.
I
Are
think
we-
we can just unanimous
No.
Javonte Barnes.
No. I don't
Okay.
think it's unanimous.
I'm going to give it to Jackson Arnold. I think I think he played heroically considering nobody around him wanted to help for the most part outside of
he's so
Javonte Barnes.
tough.
Mhm.
Yep.
He's tough.
Yep. He's going to have to be.
He just is. He looked like the Denton Geyer version of Jackson Hole. We watched so many. I think I
Yep.
watched him like 20 times in his career.
He had his swagger back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely could. Yes.
And I will
I'm
give
still
it.
happy for him.
I will give it to Jacob Jordan. I mean, if he didn't have the performance he had last week, he probably isn't traveling today. And not only did he travel, he was on the field a lot. I haven't seen the snap counts. I don't know exactly how many snaps he played, but he was on the field. He was making an impact. He was getting open, and he caught his first career touchdown pass today.
Yeah.
The Oklahoma offense scored 14 points today, and this is the first time that we've had 3 MVPs on the offensive side of football all year. That tells you how low the bar has been
So
set.
you want to know how low? Like I believe Jacob Jordan has 100 yards receiving in the last 2 games, and that's a big deal considering how bad this offense has been this year.
Yeah.
But that shows you how good. Like, where has he been? Like, why? I have to ask why Emmett Jones didn't play him earlier.
Calling him a preferred walk-on is
No, he's totally getting a scholarship.
dude is
at the end of this
Yeah,
year.
dude's
he
a
is.
receiver. Like
He's getting a
he's
scholarship.
good.
12 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown in what, 6 quarters of football?
Pretty freaking good.
That makes him 5th on the team already.
Unbelievable.
All right. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners post-game podcast powered by Jana King. If you're not a member of OU Insider VIP, you need to. There's so much information flowing over there. Hot boards, what we're hearing on the offensive coordinator stuff. We didn't talk about that on here at all because, well, that's VIP information. So we got that stuff over there for you guys.
Intel.
Recruiting intel.
What do recruits think
Yes.
of the change at OC?
There's a lot of people asking about 2026 quarterback commit Jaden O'Neal, and I've talked to him and his father exclusively over the last few weeks. I will have more intel on that coming up this week, probably on Monday, actually. So that's an interesting dynamic that's going there. Also, Brian Clinton, Jesse Crittenton, lots of team notes, lots of team like PFF stuff, like lots of if you like to nerd out, they got it for you over there on OU Insider VIP. It's good, great intel. Really breaks down the game from a very structural standpoint and numerical standpoint that you guys that kind of helps you guys a lot. So go over there, OU Insider VIP, $9.95 a month, $99.95 for the whole year. If you're a college student, email us ouinsider@rivals.com. Again, ouinsider@rivals.com from your .edu. Doesn't matter what college you go to. We've got from all over the world, from all over the United States, have emailed us to get $11.95 for the whole year. Again, ouinsider@rivals.com from your .edu, and we will send you a promo code so you can sign up and get with OU Insider today. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, like, give us 5 stars, whatever, thumbs up, whatever podcasting platform that you're on. Help us get to 20,000 subscribers right here on this YouTube. That's going to do it. All right. Oklahoma loses 26-14. They go down for the 3rd straight week in a row. They are now 4-4 on this season. They have Maine coming up next week. But that's going to do it right here from a plush Holiday Inn in Memphis, downtown Memphis, Tennessee. Parker Thune, Brian Clinton. My name is Brandon Drum. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners Post-Game Podcast, powered by Janicki. You have a blessed day.